William H. Russell, one of the most colorful businessmen on the American frontier. High-spirited and a bit reckless, Russell had a flair for doing things on a grand scale. Alexander Majors, conservative, devout. His word was as good as his signature. Over the years, Majors had gained a reputation as the best freighter in the West. William B. Waddell, a man with keen business ability, but cautious by nature. Waddell was not inclined to gamble. In April 1860, the firm of Russell, Majors, and Waddell launched a cross-country mail service. The mail was carried on horseback, carried faster than ever before. It was carried by the Pony Express. In 1850, California becomes the 31st state. But in 1850, 2,000 miles separate California from the other states. 2,000 miles of wilderness. The gold rush of 1849 had brought thousands to California. Now these new citizens are demanding a regular mail service to link them with the rest of the country. Mail service in the 1850s is slow, irregular, and expensive. Letters carried by wagon trains take months to cross the continent. Some letters never arrive at all. Ocean steamers hired by the government transport the bulk of the mail. The sea route, including a 50-mile trek through the jungles of Panama, takes about 6 weeks for delivery. But the schedules of the Pacific Mail Steamship Line are most unreliable. Attempting to improve mail service, the government experiments with mules, pack horses, even camels. None prove successful. Finally, the Post Office Department awards a 6-year contract to the Butterfield Overland Mail Company, a company formed by the merger of the Adams, American, National, and Wells Fargo Express companies. By 1858, Butterfield stages are relaying back and forth along the southern, or Oxbow route. This route forms a long, flat semicircle between St. Louis and Memphis to the east and San Francisco on the west. But promoters of the central route claim this passage west is more direct and therefore faster. It follows the old Oregon and California trails. Shorter, yes, but mail carriers are troubled by winter storms and Indian raids. During 1859, several unrelated events draw attention to the central route. The question of slavery has brought the nation to the brink of civil war. Both the North and the South want California's wealth and its growing population. The South has access to California along the Butterfield route. The North must maintain the central route. The Pikes Peak Gold Rush. The Comstock Lode. Fortune seekers again pack up their belongings and hurry west over the central route. Trains have crossed the state of Missouri, and there are plans to lay track all the way to the Pacific Ocean. The South favors the southern route. The North argues for the central route. In 1859, one more factor promotes the central route. California is still demanding faster mail service. Lexington, Missouri was a busy trade center on the western frontier. Here, in 1851, two successful businessmen, William Russell and William Waddell became partners and began delivering supplies to United States Army forts. Alexander Majors was a modest farmer. In 1848, he sold his farm, bought 6 wagons, and began hauling freight on the Santa Fe Trail. 6 years later, he owned and operated the largest freight company in the West. In 1855, Majors became a business partner of Russell and Waddell. In this new firm, Russell was responsible for obtaining contracts. Majors was the field boss, in charge of operations. Waddell was the money man, the financier. Within 2 years, this company had established a monopoly on all military trade west of the Missouri River. In 1859, they bought out the independent mail carriers struggling along the Central Route and formed the Central Overland, California and Pikes Peak Express Company. January 1860. With encouragement from California Senator William Gwynn, Russell decides to gamble. By demonstrating reliable mail service over the Central Route, he hopes to secure a government mail contract worth $1 million. To help accomplish this, he wants something spectacular, something that will capture the public's imagination. At first, Majors and Waddell balk. Other investments have put the freighting company deeply in debt. Russell, however, confident of the government mail contract, persuades them to carry out the project.
I do hereby swear before the great and living God that while I am an employee of Russell, Majors, and Waddell, I will in no circumstances use profane language, that I will drink no intoxicating liquors, that I will not quarrel or fight with any other employee of the firm, and that in every respect I will conduct myself honestly, be faithful to my duties, and so direct all my acts as in the confidence of my employers. So help me God.
For private enterprise, it is an enormous undertaking. 500 horses are purchased, young, sturdy, swift, and built for endurance. St. Joseph, Missouri is selected as the eastern terminal. It is the first town on the Missouri River reached by both telegraph and railroad. Sacramento, California is designated the western end of the run. Along the 2,000-mile route, the company establishes over 150 stations. Relay stations are located every 10 to 15 miles. These stations are small shelters where riders will be allowed 2 minutes to change horses. Home stations are located every 50 to 75 miles. At these larger stations, fresh riders will take over. Leathers, wrapped in oiled silk to prevent weather damage, will be carried in the pouches of a specially designed saddle cover called a mochila. Most letters will cost somewhere between $5 and $10. The operators know this postage will not cover expenses. They must have the $1 million government mail subsidy. Meanwhile, Congress appropriates funds to continue the Overland Telegraph to California. April 3rd, 1860. Riders and their horses are ready, waiting. A special train speeds the mail to St. Joseph. After a brief celebration, the first messenger crosses the Missouri River and rides west. A rousing send-off in San Francisco. A boat ride to Sacramento. And the Pony Rider heads east like a phantom in the night. 10 days later, the last two couriers reach St. Joseph and San Francisco. Butterfield's time is cut in half. The whole country celebrates. Except for Native Americans, who fear their land will soon be taken. In late May, Paiute Indians kill one rider and several station attendants. Horses are driven off. Stations are burned. After 2 months of operation, Majors shuts down the Pony Express. 6 weeks pass before the uprising is crushed. Losses are severe. 150 horses, 7 stations, 16 men killed. This is a devastating setback to a firm already in financial difficulty. Yet, when regular service resumes in July, Russell, in a desperate attempt to obtain the government contract, increases the once-a-week delivery schedule to twice a week. Everything depends upon political favor in Washington. But Congress, distracted by a national election and the threat of civil war, fails to act. Russell, still expecting a miracle, continues to borrow heavily. Majors and Waddell prophesy doom. November 1860. Telegraph lines now extend as far west as Fort Kearny, as far east as Fort Churchill. For the Pony Express, winter storms stretched the average delivery time to 15 days. In December, a political storm breaks in Washington. Russell is implicated in a bond scandal involving misappropriated government funds. Charges against Russell are dropped, but his name remains tarnished. February 1861. Texas militia cut operations on the southern route. Now Congress transfers the Butterfield Overland Mail Company to the central route and gives it the $1 million contract. Under this contract, Russell's firm will be paid almost one-half of $1 million to operate the Pony Express from St. Joseph to Salt Lake City. But it is too little and too late. The transportation empire of Russell, Majors, and Waddell is at the mercy of its creditors. The Overland Mail Company operates the Pony Express until late October. When the telegraph becomes transcontinental, the need for fast mail service is over. During its short lifespan of 19 months, the Pony Express provided efficient and reliable mail service over the central route. It kept alive a northern tie with California at a crucial time, and it made a national hero of the Pony Rider. No conquering hero of Venice or Rome, rich laden with spoils for his city and home, and returning with honor, the darling of fame was ever accorded more royal acclaim. By the wealthy, the poor, the wise, and the clown, than I, on attaining the streets of this town. For I have come through to the end of the trail, and I have delivered the government mail. Russell, Majors, Waddell. Though touched by fame, their lives quickly passed into obscurity. Years later, each would be remembered and honored for their cross-country mail service, their short-lived bankrupt mail service that became a legend.